Tiny Spoon is thrilled to announce our 7th issue collaboration. We're so thrilled by all the interpretations that we've collected here from our contributors. Each one is unique as the last. And we have many different things, from people collaborating with one other person to an entire group, to working with things like plants or elements and events. It's really exciting to see this issue come together. So in this release video, we have a sampling from some of our contributors who are sharing their work, and we hope you enjoyed as much as we have.
On seeing Maeve Ortega's Trapped with Your Threads in My Mind, Havana, 2017. This is a translation, but everything is a translation of something or someone or their words or how you saw it. So when you bird beak your mouth or tip your hat to explain cangrejo, crab, dentro, inside, boca, mouth, you are saying a sentence bizarre and achy, though maybe there is a crab inside your mouth, or perhaps the translation is failing you because of course the crab is dead, or we assume it's dead, and the author means this town, Cienfuegos, Cuba's French colonial crumble of elegance gone sour, ruined with isolation. Or maybe that crab's pincers on your lips is you, who now houses the city and its hard shell. See, we are translations of translations, no matter which port town or animal we find deep within the dark of our own mouths.
Leyendo por José Benitez-Meléndez. Al ver la trampa de Maeve Ortega contuve mi mente. Habana, 2017. Esto es una interpretación, pero todo es una interpretación de algo o alguien en sus palabras o de cómo lo vio. Así que cuando picoteas tu boca o cuando gesticulas para explicar cangrejo, crab, dentro, inside, mouth, boca, estás construyendo una oración rara o dolorosa, pero tal vez hay un cangrejo dentro de tu boca, o pudiese que la interpretación te esté fallando, porque, por supuesto, el cangrejo está muerto, o asumimos que está muerto. Quiero decir de pueblos sin fuegos, el desmoronamiento colonial de la elegante Cuba francesa desapareció, arruinada por el aislamiento. O tal vez eso es pinzas de cangrejo en tus labios, eres tú quien ahora alberga la ciudad y su caparazón. ¿Ves? Somos interpretaciones de interpretaciones, no importa el pueblo, constero o animal que encontremos en la profunda oscuridad de nuestras bocas.
Okay. A note on process. These poems were produced out of a series of workshops the two of us held with members of the memory care unit at Balfour Assisted Living in Denver. Most of our collaborators were suffering from dementia or serious memory loss.
Each week, we would pose to the group a topic-related question like, tell us about danger, or what advice do you have? And our poets would offer up whatever came to mind. We would get fragments, ideas, associations, tunes, and occasionally harsh insults like, what is this, the Grand Inquisition?
From the conversation, the two of us in the middle of the circle would gather whatever debris felt vivid, poetic, pertinent, heated, and on the spot each compose a poem, a poetic record of the exchange. We then took turns reading our resulting pieces, a document of their words, thoughts, voices, back to them, a collective offering. We have a whole book of documented poems like these, which we've hardly touched in a few years. Looking at them now, we can see they're still internally vital. The poems are raw, unedited, and still contain the clear voices of individuals who have perhaps lost much of their ego, but still retain astounding access to collective memory, myths, songs, and desire.
Read side by side or alone, these poems, we believe, illustrate something about the nature of human memory and the delicate practice of listening.
Morning 1. Get out of bed so you can have a nice evening. I look at myself and yawn. I wake up myself and pet the dog, and I get up. Everything is more active. In the morning, where'd it come from? That yellow, that anything you want. That bacon sounds terrific. That yawning yellow waking. Yes, I like waking up to coffee.
Morning 2. Get out of bed in the morning so you can have a nice evening. Yawn, wake up, juice. Open my eyes, pet the dog. Everything okay? How would you paint the morning? Good yellow, yawn, wake up, coffee, calm music, and quiet morning musings.
This one's called Witch. My little gypsy sweetie, no, I don't want to find her.
I met werewolves and goblins all the time, but the witch, I couldn't deal with her, so I left the country.
Well, I went wandering, trying to keep out of trouble, and she was nothing but trouble.
Horns on her head, plaguing me with her power.
How can you tell who is who?
Well, they look sort of like us with different feelings coming along, so we really don't know about their backyards.
I wasn't related to the wicked one, the one who kept on plaguing me.
I met her face to face, and I was lucky to escape with my own life.
What was she wearing?
I don't remember.
What did her face look like?
Very sharp.
What did she say?
If I didn't behave, I would be prosecuted.
You make me persecuted already, I said. I am worried about you, I said. So she snickered. She said, I control you, and you know it.
But you tried to deny me, and I said, I have to, because you are more powerful than I, and I am at your mercy, so you have to be kind.
So I left, and she stayed behind, and she ruined the kingdom completely.
I wandered for 10 years, looking for peace or pleasure, but I just found me more trouble.
Overjoy Cruise by Beth Kephart. Declare a title like that at a time like this, and you're pure sacrilege. I do it anyway, talking the 2 words into notes on my phone in the cul-de-sac by the hunch of trees during another long pandemic trek, and wearing my mask like a bracelet at my wrist in case another human souls by. Deer are more likely. Fox. Overjoy Cruise, I say aloud, and then name colors. Cadmium yellow, terra vert, raw sienna, teal, titanium white, effervescent copper, and gold. After my father died, I'd bought them. After despair had broken the breath from me, I'd ordered golden opens, which had come in a box that had bumped the front door when they landed. Cool, wide tubes. A little resistance in the caps, and then the colors wet and thick, actual, uncompromised, defiant. I'd pressed color coins onto a jelly plate. I'd smashed the coins with a briar. I'd torn leaves off trees and pressed them into the effervesce, then rubbed the proof onto 50-pound white sulfite, then bound what I had made into something I could hold. All pierce, needle scratch, wax thread, the beginning and the end of color. I'd subsisted on acrylic possibilities while the pandemic raged and the hill remained unsettled over my father's grave because no grass grew where he was planted. And then I'd left the house and I'd gone walking. This is history we're living through. This is cruising. This is the cul-de-sac with its hunch of trees, and I am freckled up with color. Teal, and it is years ago, the community pool at the edge of the day where my chlorine-saturated father is swimming off the smells of the job at the refinery, and I watch. Cadmium yellow, and it's the glaze of dawn on winter ice, and the 67 Dodge Dart that my father drives, both of us silent and careful on the slick. Terra vert, and the frost has dimmed the path in the garden called Longwood, and my father and I advanced toward the sound of a fountain overspilling. Gold, and beside the Schuylkill River we stand, watching the sun do its casting. We gesture at birds, we gesture at shadow. The trees hunch. The deer knows in no fox, no other human. The pandemic mask no more than endowment at my wrist. If this is sacrilege, accuse me now of color, of the past it breaks from me like breath, of its smash against this living through of history.
Selective deforestation. For all the letters I've sealed silent, candlelight seeps into magenta waves. Your words replace footprints never creased. Crouched among kites, I learned to weave tangles with your vitality. Perhaps I'll sigh and abode in the sand, where you'll never cast eyes upon it. I can craft the safest disappointment, while speculating whose book you will caress tonight. The crests that bind stagnant dreams are the closest I shall ever hold you. We forge deceit through expectation. I request your presence in the still soil with evacuated roots. Golden hour. Germinated echoes divert velvet covers to accompany yesterday's whisper of warmth. My hands glide in the absence of wings, sustaining holistic starch closer to plumel. This cradle of dreams prescribed earnest vulnerability. Intergenerational minds dress hatred within prediction. A hesitation to speak preserved my life thin. Still, I quiver to breathe despite regnant security. Words need not obey my intentions, as courage ignores the option to remain concealed by a veil of comfort. Aberrant dwelling. I chain a butterfly to my neck, survival thus a stamp of rehearsal. Shouts dissolve into scars. Better to cease than remain caged. Nativity of fear serrate atrophied roots. Books direct flight, but deny an arena for wings to grow. So I crumple their spines into paper airplanes, refusing lithe indulgence.
This first piece is called Always the City. Dream, you're smaller than stone portals, white cinder distant as night traversed. Bonebeak devours astonishment, 5 fingers for music. The bridges love the city. The meridians in summer extend the amplitude. At the tunnel, that canvas, split and sheared, that perpetual destination. The second one is called There Was Nothing Else to Do. This was previously published in Ethel. When we recovered from all of the excesses of the previous days, we sat quietly, all of us together in a room without footprints, and we drank more rum and talked about the coolness of Blue River water. We cut out stories from old magazines, scattering them across the oriental rugs. Sometimes I slept on the leather sofa, and then the old myths would infiltrate my dreams from the time of aircraft and the durability of steel. Music would drift in from distant speakers, a quiet whispering of bird sounds, a narrative in concrete structures that smelled a lot like smoke, laced with a hint of cinnamon. Outside, in the silent streets, we imagined a parade, with flowers and a material sense of afterlife, of falsified religion and oaken planks and metal plates bolted to the quivering timeline, coloured with the silvery pastoral of a Fabergé sunset. Trapped inside our sanctuary, we tried on new clothes before we drank ourselves to death. Thank you.
Still. Die Worte sind abgetaucht, unwiederfindbar. Wann hören wir auf, die Wellen zu nummerieren. Der einen Beschwerung ist den anderen Hebung. Auf der Brücke Scheitel, nicht wissend, ob vor oder lieber zurück. Auf der Flur verstreut die Asche, entphönixt. Das Wort still allein macht mich beklommen, wenn ausbleiben die gebetenen Gäste.
Still. The words dove out of sight, irretrievable. When will we stop numbering the waves? One being's burden gives the other's lift. On the bridge crest, not knowing whether to go on or back. Scattered across the meadow, the ashes, unphoenixed. The word still, alone, makes me anxious when the bidden guests don't show.
Clouds break across the sky's spine. A mockingbird's flesh crowns the oak, turns acorns honey in its dust. Deeper in, the whitethorn blossom is a dress draped over a slip of hawkweed. Hold. Wedding rituals, scented lilies sweep across a fluttering swan. Wings unnecessary, each union uprooted, leaves proof, a fleeting footprint. Cusp of air, expanse of limbs, suit of bark. Gasp. Trunks in procession, ceremony foiled, exquisite tilting. Flowers line even our most barren thrust. Bouquets smirk with applause, dead-heading rosebuds for red carpets. Trees twitch, shook by a switch of breath, inhaling before the storm. We reach, touch what isn't ours, imperceptible, a star about to plummet. Open windows for souls wishing to fly. An orchestra plays deep within, without its conductor. Improvised panic. We listen. Hear yes, yes, yes.
Dear A, this seems like a good time. I'm on the bus again. Some weeks ago, I met a man at a party where I had the lightest skin. At home, I'm often darker, unless I'm in my mother's house, where she is darker and her mother more still. No one knows that anywhere, yet still, people ask, what is your ethnicity? Maybe I shouldn't have been at the party for my whiteness, but I ate the food and watched the man across the room. Later, he shook my hand. Later still, waiting for a bus, we talked and laughed, met for a meal. I danced salsa, pressed into his slender body, tripping on his toes. He showed me a photo of his grandmother in a wicker chair, he beside her on the floor in a country of cold showers, hot days, bright colors, earthquake neighbor. The inscription read, "He forced me to read this book again and again." In the afternoon, we lay in bed. I knocked off his cap to touch the soft skin beneath and felt myself sinking into that ripe achiness of body after a long time without love. And later still, I huddled close in a home he built me from his long dark limbs, turned my head aside and wept,
for the nude affinity is not the same without that holy post-love famine, sends lovers tripping to the kitchen at dawn, unveiled say anything liberation, twisted together, two heads to the pillow, where the heart does not only thump, but sings. Serendipity finds me anyway somehow. We'd been for a walk. I photographed the rising moon on the creek and from nowhere shouted, "I hope we see an owl," and began to walk back to the city, and the great horned bird materialized as if he'd heard my cant. So often words seem incantations, it feels dangerous to blur the line between fantasy and possible, past and now, what's inconsequential and what shifts the plates. Or is it all the same? I want to come home and sit on the frosted patio with you. Love, A.
Dear A, I've wept fulcrums in the ditches of my hands, waiting on some other demon to braid itself into nests fading in my tired spirit. The pressure comes and folds over the lids without an ease I thought I possessed over the years of letting people go racking on as always. But I am alone now, so any word is a grace copper-lined incantation splitting forth through the bullshit and the blood and the acid spires in my stomach because I forget to eat these days, can you believe it? Since Colorado, I lost all reason. The flesh ignites little as the idea of sex fades into the burnt pale of the sky. I've become unfucked while still flirting with others, hoping attraction distances myself from the boredom of this place. And soon, I'll lose all that, and arise therefore as genderless, ageless, benign limbs at a standstill and maybe inheriting the vices of others to raise a little horror. But I'm all tender-hooked on a fascination which makes the hours pass. No heroin addiction, so to speak. No moth-eaten organs from liquor as our heroes died in madness looking for a fix. There's no tragedy here. I've contemplated hanging myself over an earache for the last few weeks and other Friday nights wasted on boring suicidal fantasies. If only you and I could convalesce in the mountains and burn our bodies in the hot springs, naked from the brilliance our revelation standing before the thumbed-out eyes of God, laughing at how foolish this place is, maybe then we could shed those worn skins for the quiet of tomorrow. Until then, let today happen. A.
Dear A, from this place, before the solstice, you can almost pierce the fog exhaust and smell the highland air. Boulder is as packed as ever with its indulgences. Malas for jewelry, obsidian and celestite to drop about the corners of the room, nagchampa to awaken the senses, away from the muted stench of glib truth. You can almost smell the subalpine air. Elk graze a meadow somewhere, filling out their winter coats with the last of the season's prairie. Vendors push carts of dollar books onto the sidewalks. Courtesans and chattering friends huddle together on the patios, weaning themselves from thin-walled paper cups before the sun sinks into the canyon, tempering them toward television that pulses through the city's windows. They drift awash in blue. 2 weeks, and I am gone again. Your song reverberates in my hollow chest. Where are you now, and are you happy? Where are you now? Where are you, and are you happy? The truth is, I don't know anything, even before I left home every moment of sojourn. There was the art house, the road, the mountain, subtropics, cornscape, capital, Niagara, 12-hour flight. There was the land between the seas, the little island, the big one, Cyrillic Spring, Long Island, Heartland. There was sorrow, Hammond, protest camp, Niagara, Tete de Mort Valley, the seas, the big island, cornscape, Music City, mountain again. Now home in the Himalayas wait. But I am dreaming Leningrad. Sometimes people ask me, A, when are you going to stop? It's time to accumulate accolades and wealth and save some time for us. You can't run forever. You'll get caught somehow. But you ask, where are you now? And are you happy? You, traveler of a different sort, don't waste your life on lonely sojourns. Just pour another poem in the churn and meet me in the stubble where the corn stood just 2 months ago. Can't wait to see you again. A.
Dear A, someone once said that the makings of a great artist branches from the suffering and forsaken nature of one's craft, copulating incessantly through swathes of blind lust, scaling the pricks of their stuck fingers until it distills itself into the one true voice of the human condition. And so we preamble these worn streets all dagger-eyed and silver-tongued, begging for a spool of rust to trade in for a bit of poison or some such regret, because all one can understand is by means of minor mutilation or self-entropy. Come hell or high water, that's a load of bullfuckery if I ever heard any in my ears. And for what it's worth, I believe my tribulations and graces mean just as much as those already written and tattooed upon the flesh of my brothers and sisters in the wastes. We have these experiences blistered on the mind and softened by the wrists always aching, reaching outward for another warmth by machine or lover in places where otherwise our voices would be a drop of oil in a drum. The demarcations in these verses unfurling into something godless and pure. Have you ever felt this clean? And where are you now? Are you happy? You ask again and again, and I say unto thee, I'm a little cold, but I am getting there. Death feels distant here for the first time in ages. There's money in the bank. I've eaten at crowded tables with familiar faces and laughed. And I'm always asking you to feed me a little bit more with your comforts. The crows fly in a fever here. You'll see. Hey.
Tiny spoon. It's Beverly Frydman here, and please meet my friend and writing partner, Rochelle Robshaw. We are so delighted to be included in the collaboration issue because we are great collaborators. We have been emailing each other every day, at least once every day, for the past 6 years. And we email each other bits and pieces of our lives that otherwise might get lost. And these bits and pieces have formed a rich tapestry that means that sometimes our voices become unidentifiable even to each other, you know, that our individual voices are sometimes very clear and sometimes they blend. So we are going to share with you Mondays 2017, and I'm going to start, and then Rochelle will read, and on we'll go, and we hope you enjoy it. Mondays 2017. Scrambled eggs with a dab of creme fraiche and cheap caviar, reheated leftover potato kugel, bacon with maple syrup, sourdough, roasted cherry tomatoes, challah, Ottolenghi's apple cake. I hope it came out okay. Can't tell. Happy New Year. Tomorrow I'll stop eating so much.
Bought tomato juice in Tesco with Mum, plus blinis, plus sour cream, plus smoked salmon. I couldn't bring myself to get vodka with Mum, so I'll have to get that later.
Was thinking about my father's Frankenstein shuffle to the bathroom in the middle of the night, conducted under darkness. I remember because I do it now too.
Sitting in the sun in the garden, heating up, then moving into shade. Winter fades into spring.
My body hurts, and I wonder if this is a side effect of letrozole. Aching joints, feet. I wonder if every twinge is a side effect. That's how it is now. I know I should go for a run, but I am slow this morning.
Mum tells me, usually when we are standing in her kitchen, that her mind is blank and she knows something is not right and that she can't seem to think of anything. I never know what to say.
I think I need an anti-inflammatory diet because my stomach is big. I'm either inflamed or I'm fat.
I feel under so much stress that I spend much of my time Googling garden furniture.
I am hot, not good-looking hot, but old-fashioned hot.
It's been a long day. I went to Mum this morning, gave her breakfast and got cross with her for messing about with the dial on the freezer, which has iced it up. I felt bad after that. I did her hair, put some makeup on her, including mascara. Mum looked in the mirror and said, "When did I get so old?"
I find it difficult to forgive myself. I find it difficult to be compassionate towards myself and to forgive myself. I've often been foolish.
Sticky toasted malt loaf, can't speak.
I wake up every hour, look at the clock and pray I can fall back asleep. I do, but it's never enough.
I've overplucked my eyebrows.
My throat feels like razor blades are trapped in my neck. I lay on my bed this morning, unable to move, and Mum popped her head round the door asking if I was okay. I wish she was okay.
I'm trying to reevaluate my life. I'd like time to freeze so I could have more time.
I love dime bars and lion bars too.
Michael left a dime bar home. I put it in the basket with his keys and change, but it called me and I had to pick it up out of politeness. I ate it and enjoyed it and it's gone. Oh well.
I ran. I feel better. It helps. In years to come, I expect scientists will say it was the worst form of exercise people could have done.
Up and down on the hour all night, coffee and banana. My ears are clogged, feel underwater, going running with Lydia. It's cold and raining, September.
I have been cancer obsessing. Articles, internet, TV shows, all about breast cancer, chemotherapy, illness, death. Do I call my therapist or do I write it out?
The fish is dead. Brandon went to change the water, but it was dead. It made me sad.
We live on a planet.
Certain people give me the horrors. Once you've got the horrors, it's hard to let them go.
Mum crept into our bedroom last night, twice. I shepherded her back to bed. She said someone was getting into her bed. I am tired.
I never sleep through the night, not since Dani was born, not since the menopause. Does it matter?
The woman at the post office scares me. She always seems on the edge of breaking into a rage, but then she says, "Look after yourself, love." I like being called love.
Do I ask the same questions day in, day out? Do I say the same things day in, day out? Another day is in and out. How have things changed since this morning?
I lugged 6 bags of our old clothes to charity shops this morning, including 1 bag containing Mum's dementia brown baggy cardigan, dementia gray trousers which were too short, and a dementia t-shirt which had seashells on it. It had been her dementia uniform. I was sick of it.
I know exercise helps me to sleep at night. I know exercise helps me to sleep at night. I know exercise helps me to sleep at night.
I feel low. I wake up thinking of Mum and anxious about work. I'm in the middle of a knot.
A friend of a friend asked me if I just had a haircut. This happened in M&S in front of the herb display. I didn't answer, but when I left, I caught my reflection in the shop window. My hair looks a bit crazy, sticky outy. Oh well.
Restless night filled with nightmares. I woke up and acknowledged each one as a short story in its own right. Then I fell back to sleep to prepare for the next bit of torture.
I used to wait for Santa on Christmas Eve. I knew he wouldn't come to my house, but I'd peek out my bedroom window hoping to catch a glimpse, hoping to see the reindeers. I never saw them, but I probably just missed them. I fall asleep easily then.
I seem to sit on the edges of baths and beds. So that's our piece for today, and I hope you enjoyed it. So thank you very much for watching and listening, and goodbye from London. Bye. We are Beverly and Rochelle, writing partners who email each other at least once every single day. I write because last night I ate a whole box of cookies.
I write because I would never use the word cookies for biscuit.
Thank you.